may Allah reward them, they want to go to Hajj so bad, but their husband may have passed away, their brother doesn't pray or doesn't want to go take them for Hajj, they have no one to take them, and they're dying to go to Hajj. Allah will reward you for it if you do not do it because you have some obstacle. But there's nothing proven that says she can travel for Hajj without a mahram. And so this is definitely the clearer, safer opinion, and the Jamhur al-Ulama, the majority of the ulama, have this position that a woman needs a mahram for this, and it's one of the conditions of her Hajj. Now we come to the Hajj itself. And the Hajj itself has arkan and wajibat and sunan. They have the arkan, the pillars. If you don't do them, your Hajj is invalid. If you don't do them, your Hajj is invalid. The wajibat are the obligations. If you don't do one of those, your Hajj is still valid as long as you pay a fidya. You pay an expiation. You have a sacrificial animal slaughtered because you missed that obligation. And then there's the sunan. The sunan are acts that if you do them, great. More reward for you, inshaAllah. And if you don't do them, la ba's, no problem. Your Hajj is still complete. So from these, we will list them so that we list them in general. And then we're going to go through the steps of Hajj, and then you'll know what's from the arkan, what's from the wajibat, and what's from the sunan. Arkan al-Hajj are 4. Al-Ihram. Al-Ihram, we're going to define that because everyone thinks Al-Ihram is the 2 sheets that the men wear as part of their garments for Hajj. While we refer to this as Ihram, Al-Ihram is really a state you enter, a state of sanctity where certain things that are normally okayed for you now become haram for you to do or prohibited for you to do in them. So Al-Ihram is one of the Arkan al-Hajj. Al-Wuquf bi-Arafah, standing in the plain of Arafah. This is one of the pillars of Hajj, as we will see. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, Al-Hajju Arafah, meaning if you didn't go to Arafah, there's no Hajj for you. There's nothing you can do to expiate it, no fidya you can pay. The Wuquf in Arafah is a pillar from the pillars of Hajj. Tawaf al-Ifada, tawaf on the day, most preferably on the day of Yawm al-Nahr, the day of sacrifice, the 10th of Dhul Hijjah, that you make tawaf al-Ifada. This is the main tawaf that you have to do on your Hajj. And there's other ones, as the Shaykh probably will expand upon when he discusses the 3 types of Hajj. And as-sa'i bayn as-Safa wal-Marwa. And sa'i, the going between the hills of Safa and Marwa 7 times. These 4 things make up the arkan of the Hajj. Inshallah, we've covered those. Wajibat al-Hajj, the obligations. Again, these are things you have to do, but if you don't do them, your Hajj is still valid if you pay a fidya. You go to the bank or wherever and you pay the sacrificial animal fee, and they give you a ticket, and this counts for you. It goes to the poor of Mecca. Okay? If you miss one of them, you pay that penalty. These are al-awwal, al-ihram min al-miqat, that you take ihram from the miqat. That you take ihram from the miqat. This is a must, an obligation that you do. Al-wuquf bi-Arafah liman waqafa naharan, that you stay in Arafah until the sunset. Until the sunset. Standing in Arafah is from the arkan. You have to be there, even if it's for a minute or 2 minutes or 1 minute or seconds before the sun sets and after dhuhr time. It's a must. But that you stand there until the sun sets is from the wajibat of Hajj. The الثالث المبيت بمزدلفة إلى الفجر, that you sleep in Muzdalifah until Fajr time. The exception for this is women and those who are in old age or very weak. They may proceed to Mina after midnight. So you hear of some who plan this ahead of time. If there's no harm for the women and they can sleep and there's no problems with their awrah being covered and the intermingling and the likes, then they should stay the night in Muzdalifah. The weak and the old, though, and the women and those mahram that are with them who have to accompany them, they can leave after the middle of the night if they have to leave Muzdalifah for Mina. The 4th one, al-Rabi' al-Mubit bimina ليالي أيام التشريق, that you sleep in Mina the nights of the days of Tashriq, that you sleep in there, that you you get back there. Even if you went to make tawaf, you come back to Mina and you sleep there. الخامس رمي جمرات العقبة والجمرات أيام التشريق, that you stone Jamrat al-Aqaba on the 10th of Dhul Hijjah, and the 3 pillars, the small one, the middle one, and the large one, al-Aqaba, on the days of Tashriq, which is the 11th, 12th, and if you stay till the 13th of Dhul Hijjah. السادس الحلق أو التقصير, that you shave your head, which we're going to see is preferred, or that you shorten your hair. This is from the wajibat of Hajj. You have to do some of it. All right, and there's something preferable, but even if you just shorten your hair, and for the sisters, there's a description for how they do so. This is from the wajibat, the obligations of Hajj. If someone did not do that, then they should pay the fidya. And lastly, sabi' tawaf al-wada' is the tawaf or the farewell circumambulation around the Kaaba. So these are from the obligations of Hajj. So the miqat or the mawaqit, I think Sheikh Mahmoud will probably touch upon them and the types of Hajj. We talked about ihram. Ihram, again, is the state you enter. It's not just your sheets. So someone's like, well, how can I put them on in the hotel in Medina? I'm not at the miqat yet. You can take your ghusl, you can put those around you until your intention is complete that you're at the miqat. And you say the talbiyah or the pronouncement that you're entering the state of ihram, labbaik Allahumma bi umrah, labbaik Allahumma bi hajj, or whatever you may say, depending on the type of hajj you're doing, then that's when you enter the state of ihram. So it is a state assumed from the place of the miqat, and there's 5 of them depending on which area you're coming from. It is recommended, the obligations of the ihram is that you take it at the miqat. You don't take it from your hotel room unless you're in Mecca already. Like many people do for Hajj, they're already in the hotel in Mecca. They did Umrah, they came out of they had the tahallul out of Umrah, out of their ihram, and they're waiting for the 8th of Dhul Hijjah to go back into that. This person can do it in their hotel. We're talking those coming from outside of the miqat areas. So the obligations of the ihram, al-miqat, that you take it at the miqat, at the station of the pronouncement of entering the ihram state. That you have the ihram garments, and that you utter, preferably out loud, although this is not your intention. Many people think, well, you say your niyyah out loud. We know from Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah and all of the ulama, Jumhur al-ulama, that the niyyah, the intention, is in the heart. It's not to be uttered out loud. You don't need to say nawaytu ya Allah an uhajja laka يعني أول مرة في حياتي, whatever else you're going to add to it from all those descriptions. Allah knows what's in your heart. The niyyah is in your heart, but you still state this pronouncement to enter the state of ihram at the miqat. The sunnahs of ihram, from them is that you clip your nails and your hair before you enter the state of ihram, and you take a ghusl, you take a bath, and you can even put, as the Prophet ﷺ had his wife Aisha radiallahu anha, put some perfume or some itar or the likes on the body, not on the ihram garments, on the body. So after you're in your hotel or you're outside of the miqat, you take a bath, you make sure your nails are clipped and your hairs, and from this we remind ourselves of the fitrah, that the Muslim man or woman should not go more than 40 days without clipping their nails, hands or toes, without shaving their underarm hairs, male and female, without shaving the hair in their pubic region, male and female. Because you had some enter ihram and go, oh man, it's like over 40 days I haven't done it. Well, now you're in a state where it's forbidden for you to do so. So you want to take mindfulness of this. It's recommended to take a bath, clip the nails, pluck the hair under the arms, and remember that 40-day ruling. The men adopt usually two white garments, the izar and the rida. The izar is for the lower portion, and the rida covers the upper portion. When you have this, you want to make sure you keep your awra covered. You know where the awra that must be covered at all times except in front of your spouse. is what on the male? What defines the awrah for the male? Surra, yeah, the navel or the belly button. The rukbah, to the rukbatain, to below the knees. Okay? So this is an area you have to have covered. Many brothers, their izar is below their waistline. Okay? Inshallah, they don't make sajda in front of you. And this is something you have to be careful of over there. Okay? So you want to make sure your awrah is covered at all time. Women, they replace their niqab. If they wear the niqab, they cannot wear the niqab at that time. It's something that can't be fixed. Usually the niqab is something which is fixed. So they can still cover their face and the likes, but they have to do it by drawing a garment over in front of them rather than having something fixed to their niqab. And they cannot wear gloves. The ihram is started by making that intention in the heart and then that dua out loud, labbaik Allahumma bihajj, or labbaik Allahumma bi'umrah, or whatever it may be based on those things. So there are 9 restrictions. Once you enter ihram, there's 9 restrictions. Okay, these are al-mahdhurat, the 9 restrictions of ihram, and they are cutting the hair and nails. Once you're in ihram and you've passed the miqat and you've said labbaik Allahumma bihajj or bi'umrah or whatever it may be, or you've said this in your hotel room leaving to go to Mina on Yawm al-Tarwiyah, the 8th of Dhul Hijjah, from now you have these restrictions while you're in ihram. You can't cut the hair or the nails. You can't seek marriage or engagement. Some brothers in ihram and they're looking for a sister to marry. Or some sisters in ihram, they're looking for a sister to marry their son to, or whatever it may be. This is not the time for it. You say labbaik Allahumma labbaik. Oh Allah, I'm at your service. You're not at the service of your child or yourself to find a spouse. You're there for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay? Covering the head for the men, the kufi or the ghutra, anything like this, something that rests on the head cannot be used when you're in ihram. So us bald brothers, we have our times with the heat. Can you use an umbrella? According to the ulama, you can. As long as it's not something that sits on your head, inshallah you can use it. When you're in the tents, this is okay. If you got into a bus or a car, your head theoretically is covered, but it's not something sitting on your head. These things are all permissible, but you cannot cover the head for the men. Stitched clothes, غير المخيط. Everyone says this problem. Well, I have to find the sheet that's not stitched. All the sheets are stitched. That's how it became a sheet. They will say it for their shoes. A brother will say, well, on my sandal strap, I see sewing of the leather to the... This is not what is meant by غير المخيط. غير المخيط means that the garment is not made to form a limb of the body. This is a sleeve. The pants has one section part for your right leg, the other one for your left leg. This is what it's meant by al-makhit, those things that are stitched to form body part. غير al-makhit is unstitched clothing in that sense. So if the sandals, they stay below al-ka'bayn, below the 2 bones on the side of your foot, and they have some stitching on them, la ba's, inshallah, this is permissible for you to wear as your foot covering. We mentioned the niqab and the gloves for women. This is something that during ihram, they're not allowed to wear the niqab, which is fixed, or any gloves. Perfume or bukhur, anything with perfume scenting in it. The shampoo, the soaps, the perfumes themselves, the lotions, these kinds of things that have fragrance. And if you read the instructions, it'll say fragrance number 4 or something to this extent. These things you want to stay away from because they are restricted when you're in the state of ihram. Hunting game, you cannot kill or hunt while you're in the state of ihram. If there's a harmful insect or a harmful animal, you see a snake or something like this that will harm you, of course this is not what is meant by you cannot kill game. We're talking about hunting or killing for purposes, the land animals for eating and the likes. And lastly, from the 9 restrictions of ihram, the intercourse or intimacy with the spouse that may lead to intercourse, any type of that kind of thing is not allowed while you're in ihram, just to preserve that sanctity of the state that you're in. I need to know the time, inshallah, because...
It's 8:25.
And what time do we go to?
You started 7:35, right?
Allahu A'lam.
You said 5 minutes.
I only have 5 minutes? Allahu Akbar. Okay.
He did not start, mashallah. He has 50 sheets.
I told you this is يعني you can't.
This is a workshop.
خلاص خير إن شاء الله.
35 minutes each.
إن شاء الله. Well,
later,
إن شاء الله.
And I need like 4 minutes.
So you can.
You give me 5 minute warning.
5 minutes. Take 5 minutes.
Give me 5 minute warning.
No, start now.
No. Okay, give me 10 maybe, inshallah.
Go ahead.
We'll skip some of these miscellaneous points, inshallah.
Yeah. Go to the grain.
Tawaf. Making the tawaf. This is very, very important. I'm trying to discuss some of the things, instead of, okay, you have to do this and then you go and do this. Instead of all those actual detailed rites, some of the things that people get very confused with. So they're very, very important. The conditions for the tawaf, you have to have the intention. Where's the intention? On the lips or the heart? In the heart. It's an act of obedience to Allah alone. Sa'i, act of obedience to Allah alone. The jamarat, act of obedience to Allah alone. Get this in your head. We don't have to know the reason for everything. We do because the Prophet ﷺ did. And this is our reason for doing so, in obedience to Allah and His Messenger ﷺ. So one of the conditions for tawaf is the intention. Then the wudu. And this is something that I take a position maybe some others may differ on, but because of the crowds you see in Mecca now, and the people making tawaf, and you see how congested it is, and you see where the bathroom is, or anywhere where you can make wudu and the likes. Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah, he was of the position that wudu is not a condition for tawaf. Now, Jamhur al-Ulama, from the 4 madahib and the ulama of now and the likes, said that it is a condition for tawaf. But Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, because he said that there is nothing other than the Prophet ﷺ made wudu and began his tawaf, there is nothing clear that says it must